Hello everyone. Thank you for attending this charity event in order to raise funds for UNESCO. Please remember the donation drive ends on November 21st and your contribution is very important. Thank you in advance. Today we're going to talk about how translators and non-governmental organizations can build a win-win relationship, a relationship that is profit for both parties, for the translators as well as the NGOs. Excuse me. If you're starting your career without any clients, it would be advisable, recommended, and very handy if you collaborate with a non-governmental organization in order to get experience by providing pro bono services to the non-governmental organizations. Which means you don't need to get your first paid client in order to build your project history and your resume. You can start the easy way, in brackets, by providing pro bono services for non-governmental organizations for a good cause, and in return you will have a lot of benefits which I will describe in the following slides. This is an excerpt from the Translators Without Borders website. It's in the About Us section. And it says, knowledge is power, it saves lives, lifts people out of poverty, ensures better health and nutrition, creates and maintains economies. Translators Without Borders is trying to facilitate the communication from one language to another by creating and managing a community of NGOs, and they need translators and professionals in order to accomplish their goals. What you can offer? You can offer part of your free time and your translation services or proofreading services pro bono as far as Translations Without Borders is concerned. What you get in return? Experience, especially if you started working as a translator or proofreader and you have not managed to get your first client yet. You work in a group of translation professionals which are there to support you in case you need any help, which means you get help if you need it. Oh, and something I wrote here, I don't remember what this was about the badge. This was to be deleted, sorry about that. Which means you get in return the experience and experience in working in a group. In detail, what you get in return is your Translators Without Borders badge, which you can use on your pros.com profile. This is here. Where you find it, let me show you on pros.com. For example, I place it here, where you can get it as soon as your application is approved. Let me show you on Translators Without Borders. You can get this badge in HTML code. Where was it? It was in account settings. Come on. No, it wasn't here. Your profile. Sorry about that. I just wanted to show you. I just remembered where it is. It's this badge here. Here. And you click on this one. As soon as you click on Edit Your Profile, you click on here. And you can copy the HTML code or the BB code or the direct URL in order to place it on either on your website or on your pros.com profile, which I did here, in order to show you that you are also part of Translators Without Borders. What else you can get? You may add the work you perform for Translators Without Borders into your project history on pros.com, thus showing and documenting experience. Where do you do that? it's on project history. If you click here on your name, you see there's a tab over here called Project History, where you can add the work you have accomplished either for clients or for charity events in here. And it shows on your profile. Come on. It shows here project history summary. You can see the total projects with client feedback corroborated. This information is here, which means you already have experience. You can use the time you spent for Translators Without Borders or for any other NGO and add it to your project history. You may ask for a willingness to work again entry from Translators Without Borders. They are very happy to provide it, thus having the chance to have the first positive feedback from a client on your profile. This would be this one, feedback from clients and colleagues. This number with a star, the more of those you have, the best for you, because your profile gets higher on the list when customers search for translators in your language pairs. You become part of the solution in efforts to eliminate hunger, to provide nutrition, to spread education, to offer relief after natural diseases, which means there's also an ethical value of what you do without spending any money, unless you earn so much and you wish to also make a donation, which is also possible. You receive the Translators Without Borders badge, which you may use in your signature. I will show you this one as well. And I'm sure they would be happy to provide you with a letter of recommendation if you need it, or to send you to serve as a reference if you need one, in case when you bid on a new job and the customers ask you for a reference or a recommendation on letters, the only thing you have to do is contact Translators Without Borders and ask them if they would be so kind to provide you with that. I'm sure they will not say no. They're pretty cooperative. As I showed you before, the willingness to work again is this one, so that you don't forget what I meant. And project history is shown here. The badge you get in return is the Translator Without Borders volunteer. This is for 2012. I'm sure they will release a new one for 2013. They give them out around Christmas as a Christmas gift to volunteers. How to become part of Translation Without Borders. Now that you have seen the benefits of belonging to this team, some ideas in order to become part of Translators Without Borders. You may complete the online translation form found on the Translators Without Borders website, which is, I lost it again. Here we are, because there are two options to, when you click on volunteers, you see volunteer opportunities, translator application, and other volunteer application. If you're a translator, which you most probably is, you just click here on the translator volunteers or here on the translators application. You may complete the Translators Without Borders volunteer application form for non-translators on the same website, which is the other one, which would be other volunteers application. You may apply through the pros.com through the Translators Without Borders Screening Center. What this is, if you click on this link, let me click on this link because this is the easiest way to get there. You get here. You can take a translation test. If you are a certifiedpros.com user, which means you have this red P, your application will be automatically approved. If you're not, you will have to complete a short test, and as you see, there are a lot of sample tests you can pick from in order to be approved as a Translators Without Borders. And of course, you may check out other vacancies on the Translators Without Borders website. Currently, they are looking for I lost it again. Sorry, today is not my day. Here we go. There are some other volunteering opportunities open. There, except for doctors, treasurer and executive committee member, and I've seen on the first page there were 2 other positions available. Come on. Sorry about that. We had bad weather, and although my internet connection is supposed to be 24 megabps, this is definitely not the case today, so everything is slow. Let me show you. Here we go. At vacancies, they're looking for a project manager for Words of Relief and a global coordinator for Words of Relief. The second position, from as far as I could see, is a part-time job, but can be also done from a distance, which means you can work from home. And the other one is on site in Kenya. Yes, it's in Kenya. So don't forget to take a look. Another option, apart from Translators Without Volunteers, which is obvious why I suggested this one, because it is something, this is what we do, and we are the most qualified persons to help. Another idea is to help the United Nations volunteers. What they do have a website where volunteers can offer their services from a distance. How can online volunteers contribute? In more ways than you think. Here's just a few examples of how volunteers can help. You can help in project management, in design, in coordination and facilitation, in IT development, in research, writing, editing and translating, in training and coaching, and in consulting. What can online volunteers do? They can help in project development and management. Volunteers write project proposals, share expertise, develop fundraising strategy, draft grant applications, etc. 2 online volunteers already provide their expertise in geographic information systems to the African Conservation Foundation in Cameroon. They supported the development of community co-management and forest conservation strategy for the protection of endangered great ape populations. Another thing is design. Volunteers design logos, create the layout of publication, develop a corporate identity, illustrate training materials, etc. An online volunteer designed logos, web graphics, and other branding images for Lawyers Without Borders. This helped the organization promote their pro bono support to non-profit organizations, rule of law and human rights initiatives, and legal capacity building projects around the globe. Coordination and facilitation. Volunteers manage teams of other online volunteers, coordinate campaigns, moderate online discussions, act as board members, etc. An online volunteer manages a team of 80 online volunteers from 45 countries of native planet, an NGO dedicated to the self-empowerment of indigenous people, and the preservation of world ethnic cultures. She succeeded in keeping the volunteers motivated and in fostering a community feeling in a virtual environment, thus improving the volunteers' commitment to their task. Great job indeed. IT development, volunteers develop and maintain websites, design databases, set up blogs, do search engine optimization, write cascading style sheets, create flash animations, etc. One volunteer already rebuilt the UNDP Zimbabwe website using a free and open source content management system and trained staff members on how to update future content using CMS. The website served as a best practice example for the UN organization's website in Zimbabwe. You can help in terms of research, which is more related to what we do. Volunteers research information on development topics, funding sources, potential partners, best practices, etc. 23 online volunteers from 17 countries helped build the web-based UNDP International Poverty Centers directory of 2,800 research centers that focused on poverty and social development. The directory is now a key tool for fostering South-South cooperation and knowledge sharing. Another one that is related to our occupation, writing, editing, and translating. Volunteers draft newsletters and articles, translate presentations, summarize surveys, survey results, proofread reports, develop website content, etc. A team of 7 online volunteers translated material written and produced by 300 grassroots organizations which are part of the Shine a Light network, serving marginalized children in Latin America. By editing and translating texts, exercises, films, and interviews documenting NGOs' best practices, the volunteers contributed to making the material available to a global audience. Training and coaching. Volunteers develop training material, teach online courses, provide guidance to organizations and/or their beneficiaries, etc. This could be, for example, if you're also a trainer, not also a translator, you could also participate in training and coaching. A group of online volunteers developed study materials and tutored students in refugee camps for the Respect University project. The volunteers contributed to providing opportunities for personal, academic, and community development to refugees and internally displaced persons in Uganda, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Ghana, Tanzania, and Azerbaijan. And the last one is consulting. Also, if you are a trainer, this could be also the case. Volunteers assess projects, provide advice on communication strategies and legal issues, evaluate software solutions, etc. This could be the case, for example, if you are a translator and also a lawyer, maybe you could help as a legal consultant. If you are a translator and an IT specialist, maybe you could help in evaluation of software solutions, for example. An online volunteer enabled the Bureau of Reconstruction and Development to enhance its organizational capacities and the quality of its services in the areas of human rights and capacity building of civil society organizations and government in Afghanistan. The volunteer assisted in defining its strategy and designed action plans towards its implementation and guided the development of project proposals. The idea of providing you with what other volunteers did is to give you an idea of what is involved in the tasks you might contribute to. What you may offer. You may join hands with people from across the globe. You may unleash your talents to help address challenges faced by developing countries. You may engage in the work of grassroots organizations, international NGOs, local governments, educational institutions, and United Nations agencies, and experience the flexibility of volunteering online. What's in for you? All right, I'm going to do all that or part of that, or just say I'm available for several projects. What am I going to do? What am I going to get in return? What is it in for me? You will receive a certificate of appreciation from the organization that assigns the task to you, because the tasks are not assigned by the United Nations directly, but from organizations cooperating with the United Nations, which means you are neither employed by the United Nations, nor will you get any certificate or anything from the United Nations itself, and you are not supposed even to mention that you volunteer for the United Nations, because this is not how it works. You may mention the organization to which you provide your services. For example, I helped in a project, the organization called Forum. They had some reports they needed me to read. They were in German, and they wanted, I had a list, and I had to read the reports to tell them if the reports are relative to the lists they have, or if they should simply ignore those reports for the particular research project they had. You will receive a certificate of appreciation from the organization that assigns the tasks to you, which you may use as a reference letter. You may add this work into your PROS.com project history, as I showed you before, exactly the same as with Translators Without Borders. You may ask the organization to provide a willingness to work again entry on your PROS.com profile. The stars I told you before, that help you, your resume, get on the top list of professionals when someone looks for a professional in your language services. And I'm also writing down the note that you're not directly or indirectly employed by the United Nations, but you offer your services on a pro bono basis to a certain organization. Where can you register? On the United Nations Volunteers website, which is here. You can register here. Let me show you what's available at the moment, for example, if internet helps me this time. Come on. Hello. Sorry about that, but as I said, bad weather didn't help. You can pick the language you want the opportunities to be shown. You see there are 56 tasks available in writing and editing, which is something that we could do. 43 in design, project development and management, there are 26 open positions, research 23, training and coaching 22, IT development 19, translation 15, coordination and facilitation, and consulting. Let's take a look at translation. They have the UNDPI yearbook unit is asking for English to Russian translators, English to French, English to Arabic, Spanish to English for the Defense for Children International Secretariat, which means you will get your reference letter from either UNDPI or from Defense for Children International or from War Child UK, from UNESCO, UNDP China. You see English to Chinese, Korean to English, English to Turkish, English to Farsi, English to Portuguese, English to Chinese, English to Arabic, English to Vietnamese, and Portuguese Español. So there are plenty of opportunities if you want to contribute, which, as I said, comes very handy when you don't have clients at the beginning, when you start your career, and you can build a small portfolio of tasks completed and receive your first reference letters. Something else you could do is you could volunteer for local NGOs. Sorry. Sorry again. You may want to contact any local NGOs in your country and area and offer your translation services. I'm pretty sure if they don't contact you directly, they will contact you at some point, because sooner or later they will need translation services in order to communicate their cause and to accomplish their missions. What I did is I wrote to ActionAid, which is also represented in Greece. This was actually 2 years ago. I did send them an email and I said, if you need any translation services, etc., please feel free to contact me. They did contact me last year, and I translated for them a small press release. It was 3 pages or 4 pages, I don't remember. But they did contact me even a year later. After completion, you may add this work into your pros.com project history. You may ask them to provide a willingness to work again entry on your profile, or you may ask for a letter of recommendation. I'm pretty sure any NGO will be very happy to provide you with a letter of recommendation. As well, there was another NGO called Faros Kopelu. This is a non-governmental organization specialized in palliative care, which means people with cancer. And I helped them translate information leaflets for patient and for caring people, for the caretakers of those patients. And they told me on their own, they said, if you ever need a reference, please don't hesitate to give them our contact details. We will be very happy to be your reference. So I'm pretty sure in your country, NGOs will be very happy to either provide you with a letter of recommendation or say a good word, put a good word in for you. As you see, it's a win-win relationship, especially if you're at the beginning of your career. You lack experience, you need positive feedback and recommendation letters. So it's very important to, at least if your first customers are not coming as soon as you expected, you can at least first gain your experience, build your portfolio, and contribute to a good cause. Take advantage of this great opportunity today, and both you and non-governmental organizations will have profit from it. I highly recommend it from own experience. The only thing you can do is win from this relationship. Please donate. It's for a good cause. The donation drive ends on November 21st. This is the link again. It's the same link as on the first slide. I would like to thank you for attending today's webinar and for contributing to this course. I'm all yours for questions. If you need to contact me, you may contact me through, there's a forum underneath the webinar, or you can send me a direct message through my profile, or right underneath, if you go here, charity event, there's a forum. This is a forum. You can write your questions in and I will reply to them if you happen to watch the video at a later stage and something comes up and you need to ask me. Otherwise, just click on my profile. You may send me a direct message. As you see, internet is slow. Let me check your questions. I'm all yours for questions. I already see a question. Let me take a look here. Hi there, is the session exclusively about volunteering or will paid work for NGOs also be covered? No, unfortunately not. I don't have any paid options for volunteers in this case. But you never know, because if you start working with a non-governmental organization and they do receive funds for certain tasks, you will be one of the first to contact, because you will already have a communication established with them. So it's very good, even if you start at a pro bono basis, that you get paid work if available later on. I know I already started the work with Translators Without Borders and know the value. Thank you, Naweed. Thank you, Naweed and Jessica. Thank you, Elke. Would it be possible for us to get this PowerPoint slideshow from you? Yes. Helen and Soledad, the ladies at Perth.com already have the PowerPoint presentation, and you will receive a link to the webinar recording as well as the PowerPoint presentation so that you can take a look at it later on, so you don't have to write down all the links right away. I volunteer for TEDCom and for Watching America. They are not exactly NGOs, but they are great if you are in the beginning of the career. Thank you for the tip, Mary Keramida. So, guys, Mary is suggesting TED.com and WatchingAmerica.com. So keep those two also in mind. Ilaria, hi Irene, what is a good way to choose an NGO to work for? Meaning, how do you know an NGO is officially recognized as such? You need to do some research. You can start with, in brackets, big players, which are UNICEF, United Nations, volunteers, which will host NGOs, Translators Without Borders, who works with a lot of NGOs. You may find a list on their website. You have to do a little research to verify that these are really non-governmental organizations. And of course, in order to pick one you help, their mission might need to appeal to your philosophy as well. I mean, you will contribute voluntary work, so you will work towards a goal, a mission that should be also your mission, if you understand what I mean. Thank you, Randa. Jessica is asking, how is the proportion for you between volunteer work and non-volunteer work? And did this change over time towards more non-volunteer work? Actually, I first started with a paid task, and then the volunteer work came along. But I had about 6 months in the beginning where I had absolutely nothing to do. And I wish somebody had told me before that I can work, for example, for Translators Without Borders or other non-governmental organizations in order to gain experience, because it was very hard to convince the first client to work with me, and then the ball was rolling after the first client come. The proportion, actually I am working permanently for Translators Without Borders, for example. I'm the project manager for the localization team into Greek of the Wikipedia articles. So I have at least twice a month to proofread a certain workload of translations in order to be published on Wikipedia. For other NGOs, I do a couple of translations for ActionAid. If Faroskopello updates their website or leaflets, I will be very happy to help. I also helped Fair Step. They asked for my help and I provided them. So people, it goes from mouth to mouth information, or in addition on my I think on Perth.com and on Translators Cafe, I have clicked the option to accept work for non-profit organizations. There's you have to click a certain box in your profile that you do accept non-governmental organizations work. I don't spend a lot of time working for non-governmental organizations per week. Let's say if it's twice a month, it would be something like 6 hours a month, which is not much, but it helps a lot. And if something else comes along and I do have time, I will be very happy to help. Would you happen to know by any chance what's necessary to turn a normal organization into an NGO? This is a question from Ulrike. No, I don't know, and I think this varies from country to country. For example, the legislation will be different in Greece than the requirements to start an NGO or to convert a normal organization into an NGO than, for example, in Germany or in the United Kingdom. Thank you, Ilaria. By the way, there's a book available from Greenpeace listing all the NGOs. Ah, thank you, Ulrike. That's a very good tip. Let's repeat. There's a book available from Greenpeace that is listing all the non-governmental organizations. So I assume that we can look for this one, either Google it, book Greenpeace and NGOs to find it. Didier de Klerk is asking, hello Irini, I believe Translators Without Borders ask in their application document to give evidence of 2 years experience, if I'm not mistaken. This might scare off starting translators. Not necessarily, because if you're a certified pro member, you are automatically fast-tracked and your application is approved without even submitting a test translation. They are not that strict, because if you are not a certified pro translator, you will have to take the approval test, and if you're successful, they don't really care about the 2 years experience. If your translation is good, of course you get accepted. And it also depends, there's another factor on the language pairs they need per case, which means they might need today English to French, and next month they might need Chinese to Japanese. It depends on their mission, on the projects they are working at the time, so stay tuned. Maybe if there's a newsletter provided, you could subscribe to it. The United Nations do have a newsletter you can subscribe to in order to be updated about all upcoming projects and openings. Thank you, Jessica, as well. Thank you all for attending this small webinar. I hope I've provided you a couple of tips of how you can contribute to the community even without being rich, because if you're a translator, proofreader, etc., you normally are not earning that much in order to be able to make huge charity donations. Unfortunately, I wish it was the other way around, but it's not. But at least we can contribute in services and try in our own way, with our own means, to contribute to the community. It's always a good thing, and you have a lot of benefits. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ran.
In about 20 minutes, in about 20 minutes, the next webinar will start. I will pass you over to Helen. Thank you very much, and have a great next presentation as well. Don't forget to donate. Bye.
Thank you very much, Ran, for your great presentation and kind words. I also hope to see everybody on the third webinar from the series 10 Ways to Alienate a Good Freelancer. And this webinar will be conducted also an experienced translator and trainer, Dennis Jones. And as I said, the webinar video will be released next week. By the way, the donation drive will be closed next week too. So so far we have $1,020 already. So let's move on to the third session. And thank you very much, everybody, for volunteering, for being with us on this great event. Thank you very much, Iran, for your support and efforts. Thank you, and see you on the third session.